welcome back to another episode of Ranting with Rose. It's Rose here. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and to keep it cool, classy, never trashy unless they try you and you got to get nasty, period. That's it. So I want to come in here and rant a little bit about all this privilege that keeps getting created for Black people who are thriving. And it's really starting to irritate me because it feels like you guys are creating privilege for just about anything. Like, I do understand that some people do have certain privileges over others. Some people have advantages. I don't even want to call it privileges, advantages over others for certain things. So I just want to break down what privileges have been created for the Black community, why I feel like it's kind of unnecessary to label these as privileges, and just my overall opinion on what's going on in society and what's going on in the Black community and why we feel the need to classify people as privileged. So according to the dictionary, privilege is a special right, advantage, or immunity granted or available only to a particular person or group. When we think of privilege, we think of the construct that was created or that was deemed as white privilege. That's the first thing that comes to my head. White privilege is the privilege that those that are Caucasian or that are European looking descent, those are the advantages that they have over other people who are not European or Caucasian. Simple things like being able to get a job over someone just because you're white. Simple things like the police letting you go after you've done something to break the law because you're white. Simple things like you getting a slap on the wrist for society for doing something utterly disgusting, and you're able to just float on through just because you're white. And that type of privilege has it has been throughout society since the age of time. This idea that white people are superior, I feel like comes from or stems from insecurity that they aren't. And I feel like this white privilege was created because a lot of things that make us as Black people what we are, they don't have. They don't have that physically or naturally, basically. So as time has progressed, Black people have progressed. We have become more prominent in society. We have become tastemakers. We have become trendsetters. We have become officials, elected officials. We have become millionaires. We've created lanes for ourselves. And as that has progressed, it's been a lot of new terms that have been created throughout that process to give Black people a sort of privilege terminology. And I feel like this sort of terminology is detrimental because when we look at white privilege, we look at that as something that's negative. So when you try to classify certain black people under these same type of privileges or under these same type of terminology, it kind of creates a sense of negativity around what they're doing. And my overall opinion about it is there's nothing wrong with a Black person being privileged. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with a Black person having an advantage? I thought that was the point. I thought the point was for us to elevate. I thought the point was for us to go farther in life. I thought the point was to create advantages for ourselves from the disadvantages that were created for us just by being Black. And what disturbs me so much is that people speak on it like it's like, oh, well, she's only this because she's that. She's only this because, okay, and what's wrong with that? Now, breaking down the types of privileges that I've heard about, There is light skin privilege. There is pretty privilege. There is I guess you would call it financial privilege. There is, and this is a term that I'm just throwing out. If it's a different term, let me know. But basically, it's celebrity privilege. So basically, when we talk about light skin privilege, pretty privilege, when we talk about, financial privilege, when we talk about celebrity privilege, it's all one thing. It's something that gives a black person a leg up over other black people. And that's my problem. Why does it have to be because I'm pretty, I have a leg up on you? Why does it have to be viewed as that? Or I've used my prettiness to my advantage, because not all pretty people are successful. That's another thing. You can be as pretty as can be and still be a bum. It's not about like the actual construct of being pretty. It's not about what you got. It's about what you do with it. And there's a lot of people that will be deemed as unattractive that have made something of themselves as well. So when it comes to light skin privilege, I kind of understand and I kind of get it. Because when we're talking about light skin privilege, it's kind of the same along the lines of white privilege. Because you are lighter skinned, because you are fair skinned, because you are closer to those European type of features, you are more desirable. You are more successful. You are more adaptable into society. And I definitely understand that. And I want to be very careful with what I say because I don't want to offend anyone. But just the same as someone could say that there is light skin privilege, society nowadays, the YouTube culture and just calling people out on colorism, you have created dark skin privilege. According to your definition, in some mediums, in some forms, being dark skinned can give you a leg up on other black people that look a little bit different than you. And it's like this. It's a lot of pandering. A lot of pandering is happening. People are showcasing more darker skinned people in commercials and ads. People are wanting more dark skinned girls in their music videos because the fear of getting canceled. So there has been created some type of dark skin privilege. And then you have the internet, the YouTube that is specifically geared and ready to go to bat for you whenever someone does something wrong to a dark-skinned woman. I don't know if that's not dark-skinned privilege or if that's classified as privilege, but overall I don't feel like there's anything wrong with it. I don't think it's a negative thing. And just the same with light-skinned privilege. It's like, I understand the whole desirability behind it. I understand that some people do have a leg up because they are lighter skinned or fair skinned, and I get it. But to me, light skin privilege is the same as white privilege. I don't think that's two different things. Just because it's based off of the same construct that you are close to that lighter, whiter, European, Caucasian look, you're acceptable. So going into the pretty privilege, it's like anyone that is successful, you have to put a privilege on it if they're black, of course. So let's create pretty privilege. So she's able to get away with the things that she's able to get away with because she's pretty. Like, let's talk about Sweetie. People like Sweetie. She is classified as having pretty privilege because she is very beautiful and very gorgeous, and her work ethic is not as strong with her music as it is with her business, but she's still getting pushed. She's still getting, put onto the radio. Her songs are still getting pushed. She's still getting performances, yada yada yada, and that has been attributed to pretty privilege. Now, when we're talking about celebrity privilege, and then when we're talking about financial privilege, of course, those are just like you understand, celebrities get a pass for doing crazy shit because they're celebrities. Like, let's talk about DaBaby for the instance. He's done a lot of crazy stuff, and people has given him a pass because of his celebrity, because that added on and fuel to his brand. And then we're talking about financial privilege. Money talks. Money talks. Money talks. So if you have money, you can basically get anywhere in life that you want to, if we're just being honest. But the basis of this is I'm not trying to say these things don't exist. I'm not trying to say that these things aren't real. They're real. They're real advantages. But my thing is what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with Black people having privilege? I thought that was the point. To create privilege and advantages for our race. I think the issue that is always the issue when it comes to the Black community is simple, and it's jealousy. Because some people have certain privileges that others don't. Some people have to work harder than others, and some people have to put in a lot more work than others. But that's life. I mean, that's life though. And I'm not trying to take away from those people that are hard workers, that are those type of people that don't have any of those privileges. But at the end of the day, you should not measure your success by someone else's success. You should not measure your failures by someone else's failures. And you should not measure your success by someone's failures, or your failures by someone's success. You should not measure yourself by anyone else. You set the bar. You set the tone. You put in the work. It's up to you. We make the choices in life. At the end of the day, we all have to work. Some harder than others. That's true. But my thing is that at some point, you can't use someone else's privilege as an excuse for you not working hard. And that's not saying that in some situations and some means that these privileges and this advantage is wrong. Because, for example, like Zendaya will get picked because she has light skin privilege. She'll get picked for a role over someone that might actually physically meet the criteria just because she's lighter skin. That's wrong. And I think that's part of the reason why we've created this whole privilege thing, because we want to call people out when they're wrong. And I feel like that has nothing to do with the people itself. That's society. We are blaming people, and we are holding people accountable for things that they can't control that has been done to them by society. And I think that's the thing. I feel like we're calling this privilege out like it's the person's fault that they're pretty, like it's the person's fault that they're light skinned, like it's the person's fault that they're rich. Like, it's not your fault. It's society's fault. And I think that's what the misconception is. And I feel like that's what the lapse is. Instead of calling the people out that have created these privileges, that have created the leg up, because the only people that can create privilege is society, if we're being honest. Yes, there are some people that use their privilege to their advantages. There are some people that are just horrible, terrible, nasty, stinky, dirty little people. But overall, there's nothing wrong with using what you have to your advantage. And as Black people, we should uplift people for using their advantages. And yes, I do feel like if you do have pretty privilege, if you do have light skin privilege, if you are privileged as a whole, then you should use your privilege to give back to your community. You should use your privilege to uplift other people in your community. But it's not necessarily up to you to change how these privileges are distributed. It's up to society to change. So that's all I have to say for this rant. Remember to keep it cool, classy, never trashy unless they try you, and you got to get nasty. And like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'm out. Mwah!